Hello, my name is Carrie Coonan, and it is a pleasure to introduce myself as the principal of Raynor Country Day School. I've been a member of the Raynor family for more than 25 years, and I've had the distinct pleasure of having my own 3 children experience all that Raynor Country Day School has to offer. We get to welcome you to the 2022-2023 school year with this open house presentation. The following video package will share highlights of your child's classroom experience here at Raynor. We also hope it will introduce you as a parent to the routines and responsibilities that your child experiences every day. Here at Raynor Country Day School, we believe in providing your child with academics for their mind, athletics for their body, and arts for their soul, with an overwhelming priority to help develop their inner character and allow them to go out into the community and learn to be a servant leader. I know that you are certain to enjoy the presentations provided by our very talented Raynor Country Day School staff members. And also, I know that you will call on me if I can be assistance to you or your family in any way as we move through this new school year together. Enjoy this digital presentation.
Hello, first grade families, and welcome to my open house presentation. I'm Ms. Marshall, your first grade teacher, and we're off to a really great start. So in this video, we'll talk about first grade curriculum and how we get through our days, and also some incidentals that'll help you get your child through their school day more comfortably. So first thing, snacks, very important for children of this age, children of any age, I think, really. Helping them choose their snacks and what they want for lunch is a good way to give them more responsibility, make good grown-up choices, and also you are assured that they will eat their lunch every day, because if they look in their lunchbox and they don't like it, then they're not going to eat it. And I don't want them to be hungry. I do have a closet with lots of snacks in it, but once again, I want them to have healthy snacks that you approve of. So having them load their lunch boxes up and be responsible for that would be really great. So every day they'll come home with their spelling notebook, their homework folder, and their agenda. So every morning one of the first things I do is look through their things. So I open their homework folder, I look for notes, I look for messages from you in the agenda. That is the best, fastest, easiest way for you to get in touch with me. I don't really look at my emails during the day much. There's not a whole lot of time, and I'm not on the phone either. I have a cell phone, not a fan. So the best way is I open the agenda, there's a note from you. I will answer it either in a note if it's not very important, or if it is important and you need a phone call, I will call you my next available time slot. When the kids are off in a special, I can call you immediately, or if you specify the end of the day, that would be great too. But the agenda, very important to send that back and forth. There won't be a lot of notes every single day. Once again, it's a timing thing. I like to spend most of my time interacting with the kids and speaking to them and teaching them, of course. So, but check the agendas every day and send them every day, and that is a good way to keep in contact with me. All right, so I'm going to start, let's go back to the Google Classroom. All of you have been invited, all of you have signed up. Check that periodically. You will get messages to your child's email letting you know that something's up there. I won't post every day, but I'll post different things at different moments, and exciting things and things that I think you would like to see. And also, I have given you your Zern math information. You can continue that. Your child can continue that working on there. We'll use it in the classroom too, because the lessons are very colorful and they move along well, and it's a good way to have them look at something that's different and not always me talking at them, but a nice colorful video. So I will be using Zern in the classroom as well. So let's go first to ELA. ELA is English Language Arts, and it's everything reading, spelling, grammar that's encompasses the English language and learning how to read and write. So what I use is the Better Than Basil program. So the Basil readers that I had when I was a kid, they didn't have much substance to them. I remember reading books like Tip and Mitten and Jack and Janet, and they were just really repetitive books with sight words that didn't have a whole lot of storyline. So we've gotten away from using those kinds of books years ago, but this program was developed by a teacher, and she has all types of activities and things that I can choose from, depending on what I think my class needs. So what I use is books from well-loved authors. And for instance, this week we're using If You Take a Mouse to School. So we've watched some videos. If you give a pig a pancake, if you take a mouse to the movies, to get them thinking about how these books are written. And a lot of them are very familiar with these books anyway. So we start out on Monday by reading this book, and then we work on it all week. We work on it in grammar, and we work on it in ELA. We might do something like setting. So one week we'll learn about what setting means, and then they write and draw pictures about the setting of this particular book. Or maybe we'll do characterization. Last week they did Chester the Raccoon, and they needed to write down words describing Chester the Raccoon, and they characterized him. So we work in ELA every single day, grammar, ELA, spelling, all of those things. And let's see, the grammar is connected also to this book. So what we do is we have a mentor sentence every week. We get a particular sentence out of the book, and the children use that. So the sentence from last week's book was, I want to play with my friends, and we did nouns, and they needed to write their own sentence eventually with something they would play with, and it needed to be a noun. So we use our mentor sentence for exactly that, for using it to mentor us through our week grammatically. So the grammar and the ELA is all connected through one story. And we have a wonderful program going on with the West Hampton Beach Library. Every week I go to the library and I pick up a bag of books that Evan, the librarian, makes for us. So every child can have his or her own copy of the book of the week. So they can look through it, and when they're writing about it, sometimes we sequence the book and they have to write down what happens first and then next and next and then last. So they can look through the book and get the answers directly out of the book. And this is a very important skill, finding things in a book. Like if I say, oh, go to the page where the mouse looks a little sad because you can't find the lunchbox, and they have to page through and find that. That's an important life skill, to be able to find things in books. So Evan is great at getting us all the books we need from September until June. Let's see what else. So in spelling, we get a weekly list. So the weekly list is, I call it the sound of the week. And at the beginning, we start out with short A, and then we move on to the rest of a few other short vowels, and then we go into blends, and then we do some more vowels, and we do long vowels, and we do more blends and digraphs and diphthongs until we've run out of all our first grade sounds, and it is, June. And so those spelling words go home every Monday, if there is school on a Monday, in your child's folder. If your child gets 100% on the spelling pretest on Monday morning, then they don't have to do spelling homework for the week. And some of us have already experienced that. Your child came home maybe with their spelling words, but they didn't have to do them because they got 100 on the pretest. So every Monday morning we go over the sound of the week. We work on that with me or in groups with me, and then we take our pretest. And then I determine which children are working on their words for the week, and they should do their spelling homework every night in their spelling notebook using their tic-tac-toe board that's in their folder, laminated with different choices. So having choice homework is a great way for differentiation. If your child needs to really write the words 3 times each every single night, then you know what? You can do that. They can do that. Sometimes some children need rote learning, which is more important. If you have a child who knows the words pretty much but wants to be a little creative with them, they can do bubble letters or they can do across and down. So it's really, it gives them choices and it matches their abilities also. So if you find that it's really much better for them to do, write those words 3 times every single day for extra, practice, that's fine. It does say tic-tac-toe, and traditionally tic-tac-toe is 3 in a row across, diagonally, up and down, so, but you don't have to. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be in a row either. If you can just choose. It's called tic-tac-toe because it looks like a tic-tac-toe board, so that's fine. So spelling is weekly. It gets done every night, comes in every morning. I check it. Then on Thursday nights, you should give them their practice test. Tell them the word, use it in a sentence so they understand it, and then they write it down in the notebook so I can check it. So that helps them really with the testing, because that is also a life skill, listening to directions and writing down what you hear auditorily onto a piece of paper. That's important for them to start early. So that's why I do spelling tests in first grade. Tic-tac-toe boards will change throughout the school year. I have many, and they will sort of match the time of year that we're in as well as children's abilities. At the beginning of the year, I might not give you look this word up in a dictionary, but further on when we learn about dictionaries and how to look up words in a dictionary, then they can have that choice for spelling. All right, so still keeping with ELA, we're going to move on to guided reading. So what guided reading is the children are broken up into groups, and it is important to not always ability group children. And I'll get to that when I talk about cooperative groups. But when it comes to guided reading, we sit with children who are all on the same reading level. That sound is my 4 o'clock bird. I have a clock that chimes or chirps the hour, and it's a different bird every hour. And when the kids look up and they hear the bird chirping, that helps them tell time because they say, oh, that's the 12 o'clock bird. And then they can start telling time just kind of as a matter of course by listening to that clock. All right. So anyway, so guided reading. Right. So it is ability based. So if I have children reading on C levels, all the children in the group are reading on a C level, or D levels in another group, F levels in another group. So we all read the same book, but they're all reading on their level. So it is differentiated. You're not going to give a child who's an advanced reader books that are very simple. So at this point, beginning of the school year, I'm still assessing their reading and spelling and writing abilities. We're almost done with that. So you will be getting that information home soon about what their abilities are, their levels, and what type of books to read with them. So guided reading takes place anytime during the week that we have time to sit and read together. Normally, morning is great. Afternoon could be fine too. So we'll get a book of the week every week, and we'll read the books together in guided reading. And we go over skills and strategies necessary to read a book. And it's really important that they understand that when you read for meaning. If you don't understand what you're reading, the book is too high level for you, and you need to bump it down a little bit. Because if you're not understanding what you're reading, then you're not really reading, you're just saying the words. So that's why I really try to pinpoint their reading level so they can read a book independently and also understand what they're reading. Let's see. So along with that goes writing. We write a lot of personal narratives because the children know about themselves more than anything else. And a personal narrative is something that happened to them or something that they did. So on special writing paper with a square and then lines on the bottom, they choose a topic and they write about something that happened to them or something that they did. They draw the picture first and then write about it with as many details as possible. And we use something called small moments, which means write about one thing. For an example, if you're on vacation and you go to, I'll just choose one of my vacations. I'll just choose Ecuador, I went to the Amazon rainforest, and let's say, you land, you're in the plane, and then you land, and you go to your hotel, and you're in a taxi, and then you're in a boat, and then you're in a canoe, and then you're going down the river, and all of that is way too much. So when I write with the children, I choose one part of a vacation, maybe, and maybe just put myself in that canoe, and one small moment of going down the river in the canoe and bird watching or finding snakes or things like that with as many details as possible. Because if you write everything about your vacation, it's a much bigger moment, and it's not really helpful to have them add details and learn about the most important parts of a narrative or a text. And they will be able to identify what's the most important thing that happened in this book, and why do you think that. We make them, have them, teach them to use those higher level thinking cognitive skills. So that's our writing, and we'll do personal narratives. We do how-to books. They like the how-to books because they tell them that they become teachers. They write down the steps of how to do something that they know how to do. They're an expert, and they draw the pictures. And usually we act them out in the classroom to see how the how-to book, to see if their directions are right on. And that's really fun, because if you make a mistake and you skip a direction and your how-to doesn't come out correctly, well, you know what it's like when you're trying to put together furniture and you can't understand the directions, or there's a piece missing and you're sitting there going, this is a bookshelf and it doesn't really look like a bookshelf. So the how-to directions really have to be pretty specific, and the kids have a really fun time trying to follow each other's directions. And then we go on to autobiographies, which is really cute because they're writing about their life, all 6 years of it, and with photos and drawings and events in their lives. And we do a science report too. They choose an animal, and we do this on lovely poster paper, and they make a report all about the animal that they've chosen. And sometimes we even get into a little poetry at the end of the year if there's time, which is great because poetry is wonderful. You can write anything, and no one can tell you it's wrong because it's your imagination and it's creativity working together. So that is our writing, and we do that several times a week during our writing time. I'm going to go on to math now. So we use what was called Common Core Math, which then changed to Engage New York, which I still think the website is called Engage New York, and also called Eureka Math. So they've changed the name around a little bit, but it's the same thing we've been using for many, many years. And I have found that even though the directions can be a little tricky, and it's not the kind of math that I learned when I was young, it works. The kids are learning their math facts more quickly, and the math facts get in there and stay there a lot longer and better than they ever have before. So I'm finding that I really like the program a lot. So at the beginning of the school year, I break the lessons apart into 2 parts. Lesson 1 on Tuesday, part 2 of lesson 1 on Wednesday, and I go throughout the first several lessons until we're fast enough that we can do 1 lesson per day. So right now we're doing it very slowly because they have to understand what a sprint is, what a number bond dash is, and all the different kinds of games and fluency lessons we do take a long time to learn. And then once again, we'll do a lesson a day, so the program goes a little bit more quickly. So every day there's a daily lesson, or every other at this point, like I just said. And the homework assignments match perfectly with the daily lesson. So we do our problem set and exit ticket. That's in the folder. So when you take out the homework, you can reference the exit ticket and problem set. So you can say, oh, okay, this is what was done today. Now I know how to do it. You can go online and go on Engage New York, and the lessons are there. And the teacher stuff is all there, too, if you need to teach it to them. And on YouTube, there's this man named Dwayne Habaker, and he has done every single Common Core math lesson. So if you don't understand it, you can go to YouTube and find Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E, Habaker, H-A-B-E-C-K-E-R. Go to lesson, whatever that you need, and he will teach it to you in a video, and it's very comprehensive. He's very good to help you through that. Most of the time you won't need it, but there's sometimes things that you're going, what is that? I have no idea what that is. I didn't learn math that way. That's the way I was several years ago. I have no idea what to do. And I had to teach myself the whole program before I taught the kids, but after years now, I know what I'm doing. All right, so and every once in a while there's a math test, and so we do our math tests. They do tests in first grade. They do all kinds of tests and quiz just to get them ready to be big, responsible boys and girls students. All right, so I'm going to go on to science now. I keep looking over there because I have my chart of everything I want to cover so I don't forget anything. Science, I'm mostly known for science, I think, but that's fine because it's really fun and I love teaching science. So we do have a science book that you picked up from BOCES, and I do use it back and forth a little bit, but I'm not a big textbook person because I think that at this age, and really any age of any student, I feel that they learn better when you put things in their hands. You know, if I want to tell them about snakes and how a snake feels, I'm going to put the snake in their hand. Um, and we'll do that. I have two snakes, and they will experience my snakes. And so we'll learn about lots of animals, lots of biomes. Biome is a biological home, habitats, ecosystems throughout the school year. And we make a lot of those. So some of you during your tours may have come in March when my rainforest is hanging from the ceiling, or maybe in June when my ocean is hanging from the ceiling, or maybe earlier in the year when there's a big desert on the wall. So I teach in biomes because it gives the children a sense of the earth in a kinder, gentler way than talking about political boundaries. It doesn't mean that we don't go into states and countries and things like that in social studies, which we do, but we also, in science, I like to teach them about the different parts of the earth and why they're there. Why do you have a desert here? Why are all the rainforests in the middle? Why do we have the really cold places north and south? So they learn all about that. And on Fridays, they love Fridays because they already know, and they look at, and if they see STEAM Friday on the board, they come in like, oh, it's STEAM Friday. So STEAM Friday may connect with what we've been doing in science, and it may just be something that I love to do, and I think they'll have fun learning. For instance, if we're doing rainforest, I might use STEAM Friday to do some art projects for the rainforest they are creating in the classroom. Maybe they need to make an iguana, or maybe they need to make poison dart frogs. So sometimes I connect STEAM with what they're learning in science, and other times they do coding with robots. They do they do modular robots, and we also do Kiva planks. The first thing I start with is Kiva planks, and that's the E in STEAM is for engineering, and those are those little wooden planks. And I've already put those, I believe, on the Google Classroom, so you can see the structures that your children are creating with Kiva planks. So some examples of some of the things we do for STEAM Fridays. These little guys are called Ozobots. This one doesn't have a skin on it. That's what it looks like. And this one has a skin on it, and it looks like a little race car. So I think I'm going to show you, it doesn't matter, I'll show you with both of them maybe. Anyway, so it's really exciting because I teach them how to code. And when you write code for something, you learn the patterns and color codes that will make your robot do certain things. Now, the robots are programmed only to do certain things. You can't make them do anything you want. So they have to actually learn the codes. And these stickers, for children who have a hard time with their penmanship because the coding that they're doing are with markers, and as you can see, they're little squares of color. They're stickers. The kits come with stickers, so they can just put a sticker down for their robot to follow on their maze. And there are different things. Go straight, go left, go right, line jump, make a U-turn. There's one that they really love called Tornado because the robot actually spins around. So this is a maze that I made, and I'm going to hold it up here, and hopefully you can see. I will put this one on it first. So they follow a black line. You're going to follow your black line. There you go. follows the black line, and when it gets to a color code, it blinks those colors, and then it does what the code says. So he just kind of went backwards there for a second. So these are Ozobots, and let's see if we can get this one to do the same thing. So he did there. The last move was called a backwalk, and it looks like the moonwalk that people used to dance a long time ago. They love their Ozobots, and as you can see behind me, I have boxes. There are 16, so each child gets one. A couple of them may not work anymore. So I was asked, what could you buy me for my classroom? Well, you can buy me one or two more Ozobots. In this way, everyone's guaranteed to have their own all the time. They don't last forever. Unfortunately, sometimes the kids drop them and, they break. So I could use a couple of those. Another robot we do, now this is a robot. What it is these are modular robots. So they're different cubes, and each cube is different. And in order to make the robot, you have to know what each cube does, and you need the power. There's the power. So you have one that lights up. You have one that spins. This is the spinner. This is the light. This one helps it to go. And it's a motion sensor. And we have a driver on the bottom with wheels so it can make your robot move around. So the kids love these. And what I do is I just put all the cubes out and I have them work together and I say, you figure it out. So they're slapping them all together because they're magnetic. And at first they don't do anything. But eventually a child puts their hand in front of the motion sensor and the robot does something. And that child will say, oh, this makes it go, and let's put wheels on it to make it move. And then they all work together to create all different types of modular robots. So those are called cubelets, and we'll be breaking those out later in the year when they're a little bit more responsible with things and following directions and all. So we'll be doing that. So that's STEAM Fridays. It could be anything we want to do that is fun and exciting that either hooks up with our science program or not. The first thing we did the first day of school was we took out cups of water and we did our 5 senses. And I said, what's in the cup? And they mostly said water or vinegar or seltzer. And we were talking about how we can use our senses to discover what's going on in our environment. And it looks like water with just our eyes, but with our hands, I don't want to do this over the computer, you pull it out and there's actually these clear jelly things. And they're little, you can't see them until you take them out because they're clear. They're little beads of polymer plastics, and they're super absorbent. So when they absorb the water, they blow up to jelly marbles. And you've seen some of these before. I think the kids call them Orbeez. But the jelly marbles were very first thing. So that's always fun and exciting because they put their hands in and they don't expect their hands to be full of these clear jelly marbles. So they love that. And that's the very first day of school. We jumped right into science so I can get them excited about the science program. One of the last things I want to talk about is social studies. So I also work in units there. We work with, today we started colonialism. So it might be a big subject. It sounds big, but we can pare it down and just tell them, this is what life was like a long time ago. And this is what people ate. And this is what people did. And this is how people dressed. And it usually culminates on some type of field trip where we go and learn about what life was like long ago, maybe to Old Bethpage. And there's also farming involved. So we talk about farms at the beginning of the school year because when October comes, we also get ready for the harvest. So social studies is very topical, unit driven. And we also have the book from BOCES called Maps, Globes, and Graphs, which we'll be working on. They follow directions to make maps, globes, and graphs. Um, Another thing we do weekly is our Scholastic News. So Scholastic News could be social studies, it could be science, and it's also very topical. They'll always do something about Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving time, October. Let's see what else is coming up. Fire safety. So we do a Scholastic newspaper every week. There's videos online for it and games to play and the newspaper to complete and other activities that we do. So that's our fun social studies program. I'm going to end with cooperative groups. So your children might have come home and said to you, oh, I'm a raccoon flash, or I'm a chameleon, or I am in the Great Creepers. I'm not sure what that is, but they're allowed to choose their own names. So what's a cooperative group? A cooperative group is a group of people who work together. So I have 16 kids. I have 4 groups of 4. So I place them, and they're heterogeneously placed. Boy, girl, if I have enough of each, you know. If not, I do the best I can with spreading out the boys and girls in each group. And also it means different abilities. So they are not ability grouped. So the children can help each other. I'm a great reader, but I have a hard time with math. You are great at math, but have a hard time reading. So we can help each other with directions or the answers even. If it's a time when I say, look, you can help each other and compare answers and see what happens. So they really do work cooperatively to help each other out. So we make a poster. They choose their names. So right now we have the Raccoon Flash, the Great Creepers, Chameleons, and the Cool Koalas. So what happens in the day with the cooperative groups is they do a lot more of helping me probably than each other. They sit in groups, and they have numbered heads, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So instead of running around all day collecting things, handing things out, I choose number 1s, hand out these papers to the kids in your group. Number 2s can collect the papers. Number 3s can give out these books. Number 4s can make sure you have your names on your papers. Today we're doing sound work, and I had them do the jobs of recorder and reporter. The recorder takes notes for the group and writes down what they're working on together, and the reporter tells the whole class the answers that they came up with. So instead of just having a child who is the helper of the day, they all help to make our day run much more smoothly and efficiently. And I do have, well, let me just finish that. So they get together and they choose their names, they vote on them, and then it hangs over their desks. So I know who they are and they know who they are, so I could just say Raccoon Flash, line up, or the Cool Koalas can line up and they all go. So they make a poster, and each child has to do something on that poster. They have to draw themselves as what they decided to be. So the Cool Koalas all drew koalas on their posters, and they had to draw themselves as a koala, and then everybody's name goes on their poster. Like, you know, if Joe is a cool koala, he did himself as a cool koala and he wrote the name Joe. So then what happens is they get tallies for working together cooperatively. So on their posters, there's a little card and it says tallies, and every time I catch them either quietly working together as a group, or cleaning up really well as a group, or listening very well as a group, doing anything that shows that they're working together as a group, they get tallies on their poster, and they get 10 tallies. The whole group goes into the treasure chest, the treasure box, and gets a prize. So we're very close already with all of them actually getting prizes. So that's my cooperative groups, and I find that that's a friendly, easier way for me to manage my classroom. The other thing we talked about was what the chameleon does, and why they're chameleons. So I love reptiles. Reptiles are my favorite things. And I've had many different types of reptiles. Very exciting year this year because a lot of you have reptiles at home. So we're going to compare stories about our pets. So anyway, I call my students chameleons or our first grade chameleons because chameleons are very colorful. Chameleons change colors. They change colors depending on the kind of mood they're in. They do sometimes blend in with their surroundings, but that's because they're from there. Like if they're mostly greenish, it's because they were born and raised in the rainforest. If you have more of a desert type of chameleon, you might not be different colors. You might be more of those sandy browns or something, or a mountain chameleon. So they do blend in with their environment, but when they change those colors really quickly, it's really because they're showing some type of emotion. So I read a book every year in our Better Than Basil reading program called A Color of His Own, and it's about a chameleon that is looking for a color of his own. So I always take that to mean he kind of wants to find out who he is, and not just blend in with his environment or whatever he wants to find himself. So that's a really good lesson for children, not to do what your friends are doing or do what you think you should do or be how someone's telling you to be, but be how you think you should be what you want to be. So it's a great lesson and it's a good book and it goes on with a lot of things I teach. So I call them my chameleons because they're ever changing and they're going to grow up and find their true selves and their true purpose, maybe. So, and that kind of starts young, believe it or not. I mean, I've had children as 5-year-olds going, I'm going to be a large animal vet. And there are students right now in college becoming large animal vets or something they told me that they actually wanted to be when they were 5 or 6. So sometimes you find your purpose in life very young and sometimes it takes a while. But we can begin that road of self-discovery together in early as first grade. So I'm thinking that we're pretty much done. Character education, very important here. They learn the best way to be all day long to their teachers, to each other, and friends and family members. It's always been very important here at Raynor to continue with character education and helping us be the best we can be to have a helpful, kind, and caring school year together. So I think I'd like to finish up with, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write a note in the agenda, send me an email, call the school, and I will get back to you right away. So welcome to first grade, and thank you for your time.